an elf was high on acid and stabbed a woman's BMW with a sword. You like
in
me? You get to edit that out.
in an elf high on acid. A high elf high on acid.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we gotta clarify that.
There are differences. High elves look really down on wood elves and other kinds of elves.
yeah. Low elves, those wood elves, they drive BMWs. High elves are strictly like Rolls Royce.
Yeah, exactly. Wood elves like to call themselves luxury. High elves actually are.
Sounds alright.
I know this from the D&D group that I'm in.
Oh, it's good to know that I'm not the only one who plays D&D.
I dabble. I'm not in a group or anything, but yeah, don't worry, you guys aren't alone in that.
Okay, that's only the noisiest cup of coffee ever. It's still a
this
goddamn
this
wonder.
this new microphone is beautiful. It picks up a lot of things,
Yeah, I'm
including
pretty sure I could hear a gnat fart in the other room.
goddamn gnats, man.
Meanwhile, I'm rocking this Ubuntu Asus laptop. Yeah, some shitty microphone.
Your quality actually sounds pretty good. I was actually pleased having, because I've in the middle, or was in the middle of editing when the news broke,
Yeah.
and then I just stopped because nothing else mattered. But
So I guess the episode won't be ready tomorrow for people to make fun of it in the office.
it'll be ready tomorrow. I'm like 90% done,
Okay.
so it'll be ready. I don't know how much attention it's gonna get because there's obviously gonna be a lot of, but
Yeah.
it'll get some, and
The people in my
tweet.
office will laugh about it. So there's that. Nice,
Like
refreshing
like
coffee.
we were doing really well with part one today with famous Jeffrey, and then everyone stopped caring about him and started caring about the roster like, immediately.
Well, let's hope I can ride the roster high.
Ah, there are no big surprises, right?
Well, I'm glad we put this on live and talked about absolutely nothing for the last 5 minutes.
Someone, we should post it to MLS, I think.
Yeah, I would, but I don't want to because I'm posted two things already today, and I'm gonna post two things tomorrow.
Oh, I
So I don't
got
want to.
it.
You got
Jeez.
it.
Fucking lazy
Well,
piece.
if I knew how, I would.
I'm just, is it just copy the Google Hangout link?
Um. Yeah. Oh, shit. I actually don't know. Hold on.
Well, let me try opening it in another window.
Wait.
See,
Here's the link you copy.
where's the chat?
That's it. That link. Don't make it a self post though, obviously, and
Yeah.
not like a yeah.
Okay,
And
it's
if
gonna.
people want to join us, that's cool. If they just want to watch, that's cool too.
I'm glad I was called beautiful today.
Yeah. Yeah. You're welcome.
That totally didn't creep me out at all.
Well, so here's the thing, Zach. you and I argued like 3 or 4 weeks ago, EJ versus Wando.
Yeah.
Looks like you won that argument in resounding fashion.
Oh,
Yeah,
the,
just a little bit. I mean,
DC fan argued about EJ Wando. Didn't see that one.
yeah.
Yeah, no, it was fun. You know, we called each other names. I cried at the end. Uh, it was it was really exciting.
Sounds like sex for me.
Yeah, isn't that sex for everybody?
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, yeah.
a lot of name calling, a lot of crying.
Yeah, that's what I'm used to. Um,
Although with Eddie, it's a bit different because there's a pay me involved, so I'm not sure about that. But regardless, yeah, it was weird because it's literally one day where just all that argument and everything just doesn't matter anymore.
yeah.
Because I mean, you can say, well, they should have been on for this reason, but they're not.
I mean, like I said to Pete in a recent podcast, I told him because he and I had a Tally Hall versus Bill Hamid argument,
Mhm.
and when Bill Hamid was called into camp for the Mexico friendly and Tally Hall wasn't, I used that as justification to tell Pete, haha, I was right, you were wrong, nanner nanner. And so if I'm going to use that reasoning, then I have to cede to that reasoning on EJ versus Wando. So
Yeah, it's I don't even know really. It's just so weird because then for like the past couple of days, it went from EJ versus Wando to Boyd versus Wando to also like Johansson versus Wando, and then now after the fact they're saying it was Landon versus Wando. I'm like, goodness, can't these players just like be judged on their own selves instead of like direct comparisons? It's interesting.
I find it hard to believe that it was Landon versus Wando though, because
Yeah.
I feel like Landon's that wing player. I feel like he was competing with Brad Davis in that if I'm taking anybody off in favor of Landon, I'm taking off Brad Davis because I don't know what he adds to the table that other people can't do on that team. Like I don't know why
Yeah.
what you're bringing with Brad Davis that Ale Bedoya and Graham Zusi don't do, you know? And
Is
that's
Pretty sure
maybe
just
it's
his foot, like
yeah.
his right versus left footing basically. I think that's pretty much it.
Well, what is he? He's a does he play on the left, Brad Davis?
Yeah, he plays on the left. Yeah.
Okay, that actually makes some sense then. Um, so yeah, but then it's him versus Fabian. Does this mean Fabian Johnson's playing left back like I suspected he would?
He's playing right. I've read that he was playing right back.
In camp?
Yeah.
Interesting. Um,
Yeah, so it sounds like he's being pushed back. Cameron's going to be in center, and I guess Davis is going to be a winger, if anything, if a sub or
yeah, I
whatever.
don't think he's starting. So what's it? So
Yeah.
the starting 11's gonna be, and that's the thing with Donovan that I'm not upset that he's not going over. I mean, I am upset because like emotionally, I've known of Landon Donovan and he's been my emotional hero since I was like 12, and so back in that first World Cup in 2002, even though he never came close to playing for a team that I liked, that didn't matter so much. But what I'm a little bit concerned about is our back line because he's not bringing Parkhurst, he's not bringing Clarence Goodson, and I thought those two guys. I mean, we talked to Matt Doyle last week, and he said Parkhurst is probably starting right back, and now maybe he's not. Obviously, he's not. He's not going to Brazil.
Yeah.
So, and I thought Goodson was the next person up to play center back with Beasler instead of
Yeah.
Gonzalez, but obviously that's not going to happen either. So, and Goodson, I mean, Goodson's been pretty good for y'all lately, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's been excellent. I mean, his nickname in uh, / earthquakes has been clearance Goodson, because he just gets the ball out and he does his job really. I mean, he's not flashy like Bernardez, where he's doing overhead kicks constantly and everything, but he's just solid. And that was actually what surprised me more than even Wando being included. Was I looked at the roster and I saw Goodson wasn't on there. I'm like, really? That, especially with Omar being injured, I thought Omar might have been the one that was just out of it, and Goodson
Yeah.
would have stepped up, but apparently not.
Yeah, I mean, and you guys got that Goodson-Bernardes combo. Once Bernardes comes back from the World Cup, is going to be great. I mean, that's probably one of my favorite center back pairings. I might even like that center back pairing more than I like Beasler and Aurelian Cullen in Kansas City, honestly, because I feel like Goodson and Bernardes complement each other pretty well.
Yeah, they're a great tandem. I mean, just how basically getting Goodson turned our season around last year kind of showed how it went from like where we had, I think, Hernandez in the back line. So Goodson, the game just immediately stepped up. So yeah, I mean, it wasn't as if his club form was bad or anything. And I don't know, I guess there must have been something in camp that would have done that, but I even with that, I can't even imagine something outside of like Goodson losing both legs or something.
Yeah.
You know, I was having, not to shift away from the player personnel argument, but one of my friends called me as soon as the roster was announced and chewed my ear off about this, that, and the other thing. But one of the points he asked was, you know, with Klinsmann choosing not to take Donovan, let's say we go and, we beat Ghana, we lose to Portugal and Germany. Do you think Klinsmann still sticks around, or does U.S. Soccer axe his contract even though it just got extended?
There's no way Klinsmann's gone after this World Cup. I don't care what happens. I mean, even if they have a bad showing, he's here for 2018. He's here to build the culture in the national team itself, and also to revamp the development program and to really make United States soccer work the way he feels like European soccer optimally works from a development standpoint, not necessarily obviously from a top professional leagues, because we've got that covered. But and honestly, I'm okay with that. Even if we do crash out with a -10 goal differential and 0 points in the World Cup in the group stage, I want Klinsmann to guide the development to where it needs to be, and we've made a lot of positive steps. I mean, it was only like 2 weeks ago, maybe a week and a half ago, when they announced the whole eliminating pay-to-play in the academies that are sanctioned by U.S. Soccer.
Yep.
I mean, that's a total Klinsmann move. I mean, before he even became U.S. Soccer coach, he's like, you guys have it backwards. I mean, he said this in 2010. He's like, you're like the only country in the world that makes kids pay to play youth soccer. And now that he's in charge of things, that's something he's turning around, and that's what I want to see. I'm more anticipatory of that long term than I am excited about this World Cup now.
See, I feel the same way, but I've seen like multiple people today saying that they're like, oh, if Klinsmann doesn't take Donovan and we don't get out of the group, then we need to fire Klinsmann. And it's like, if ESPN or someone decided to join in that kind of discussion, would there be a significant enough push on U.S. soccer to make them change what their plan is?
I don't.
Like, I'm not saying it should happen. It shouldn't happen.
I don't think. I mean, we have the right person in place such that Sunil Gulati isn't going to bow to ESPN's or the media's interests or talking heads or whatever. And even if he did, who are the talking heads on ESPN? I mean, Alexi Lawless and Taylor Twellman, are they going to be like, well, we need to get rid of Klinsmann if we fail out of the World Cup? I don't think so. I think they feel the same way
But
about
here's
the development.
that's kind of me just being optimistic about soccer in this country in general. I feel like the kind of move of leaving Donovan off a roster is going to be big enough that it would transcend Alexi Lawless and Taylor Twellman and, you know, like casual sports center anchors who don't watch enough of the sport to actually care would say things like, "Oh God, we didn't get out of the group. We didn't take Donovan. Clinton out. Yada yada."
Well, sure, they can say that, but if Sunil Gulati's listening to them and making decisions based on that, then we picked the wrong person to be the president of U.S. Soccer.
I know, but as optimistic as I am about the team, I am not optimistic in U.S. soccer at all, and I am not sure how Sunil Gulati would take a situation like that where it's a mainstream issue if it were. I don't know. I don't trust Sunil Gulati. That's a whole nother issue on my end.
Is there what is he doing? It's his picture is paused at like the perfect time.
Oh God, really?
Yeah, I don't know why you lifted up your shirt. It didn't seem to make any sense because you weren't saying anything.
Yeah.
But
Well, there was an awkward lull, and
no, because I asked you why you don't trust Sunil Gulati.
oh, see, I didn't hear that.
Oh, my bad. I should enunciate better and also.
Well, I was distracted by, my sexy man chest. I don't know. There's something about Sunil Gulati that rubs me the wrong way, I guess. And maybe I just don't know what I'm talking about, but I don't think he would be a good guy under pressure when soccer reaches mainstream status. But
I mean,
is
there a good reason to think that though?
I don't know. Yeah,
I mean, there's not really a good reason to think that he will be good either. It's no one knows how anybody's gonna react once soccer becomes mainstream or whatever. So
yeah, I'm kind of sitting here with the tinfoil hat on.
That's okay. We need people like you, just as long as you don't turn into Ted. Good.
Oh God, we need pro-rel right now.
I heard him talk. I've heard him talk once. It was amusing.
It pisses me off when he tries to out-talk me about like USL teams.
Has he done that?
Yeah.
I've never interacted with him, so
He'll just randomly appear out of nowhere and start sucking all the fun out of Twitter. And he was like, "Yeah, totally. If a USL Pro team went to MLS, I mean, they would easily be able to adapt to me." And I'm like, "We have 7 people on staff, Ted. The fuck are you talking about?"
And that's like big for a USL operation too, isn't it?
Yeah, Antigua had 2 people that worked in their front office. 2.
Sacramento's probably got a few. Orlando's probably got a few.
Yeah. But I mean, like, some of these other teams, it's like 5 dudes and a camel and someone's kid running around the office, and like that's it.
It makes me sad because I was really excited to buy a team in St. Louis once I won the lottery. I was gonna do that, build up soccer in America's heartland, but they're already starting a team, so I guess I was too late.
Tough shit. Sucks to be you.
It does. Not really. My club team won yesterday, so everyone else couldn't suck it.
Okay, anyway, getting back into U.S. national team because we went all the way off topic. Thanks, Ted. You ruined normal conversations. Um, okay, so let's get this all out here. What is everyone's feeling on Donovan? Like, should he have gone?
I just, I don't know. I don't know. I I saw that picture in that thread, the one where he looks fat, and maybe Klinsman looks at that. I mean, Klinsman's all about fitness and not being fat, and he saw that picture and saw Donovan's developing belly and said, maybe that doesn't work for the heat of Brazil. Um, but I don't know. I don't know. It's a big I don't know. It's basically just I wanted him there just because I have an emotional attachment to him. If I try to evaluate him as an actual soccer player, it it gets hard because he really hasn't done a whole lot for Galaxy this year. And I know Klinsmann wants his players to be in form. And I picked at the beginning of the year for Donovan to win MVP of the league, which I guess he has a chance to now. But he's going to be playing in the league for a month and a half longer than he expected to. But I thought he was just gonna not necessarily tear it up, but just be a really big influence on the Galaxy and on the league and on U.S. soccer, and none of that's happened. His biggest moment was an easy goal against Mexico, and his second biggest moment was tearing up the Gold Cup against mostly inferior countries who didn't send their best teams.
Yeah, I think one of the telling moments for me was actually during that South Korea friendly.
He
When
looked slow in that friendly, didn't he?
yeah, well, because Wando, he was tearing that game up, and he actually set him up right in front of the net to basically just slide in or run in and kick the ball in. But he was too slow. He was off by like a few feet. And at first I was thinking, oh, maybe that was Wando's bad, put him too far ahead or whatever. But the more I've watched like Galaxy and everything, he does seem a lot slower. And I was just like, this isn't the one. I mean, Wando, sorry, the Landon we remember being fast on the counter and just being able to capitalize on his speed. Without his speed, he is creative, but at the same time, he lost a lot of himself basically.
Yeah, and I remember thinking during it was either that game or it was the Mexico game where people, whichever game it was that people were upset about Dempsey either missing chances or just not doing great. I was a little bit more worried about Donovan in that game. That was a Mexico game, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. I was worried about Donovan because like it seemed like another thing that he lost was his ability to make decisions quickly, because I remember in that second half there were a lot of opportunities to counter for US as Mexico was trying to get back into the game, and there were a lot of through balls that usually Landon Donovan plays that work out and lead to good scoring opportunities that he just it's not that he wasn't trying them, it's not that he tried them and they failed, because that's one thing, but he just didn't try them. He didn't see them apparently. And that worried me a lot, because that's, you know, as your age advances and your athleticism isn't there as much, your IQ should still be intact. And for some reason that wasn't happening. It wasn't being shown in the Mexico game, and maybe Klinsman saw that and decided, maybe I'll take someone else.
Yeah.
So, well, I'm glad I'm glad we're talking me into thinking leaving Landon Donovan at home is a good thing.
I am going to sound off the unpopular opinion. I guess
Do
I
it.
never was as much of a Donovan guy as everyone else seemed to be, but I think we do have better options. Yes, you know, the every time I think of why Klinsmann should have taken Donovan, it's not for reasons related to his play. It's always for reasons related to, well, you need that experienced leader, you need that guy in the last who knows how to deal with the last 10 minutes of games. And I feel like that says a lot about my mindset towards Donovan. I am
They're not soccer related reasons, are they?
yeah, I mean, I'm completely fine with Donovan being left off. Initially, I was shocked because I thought Klinsman would take him just to be that marshal in the locker room. But I mean, you got Dempsey, you got Howard, you got Bradley,
Yep.
three
You have
guys.
Klinsmann, by the way, who's won World Cups.
Yeah,
He's that leadership. I mean, he's the guy. He's that knows exactly what Americans need to do. Not sort of like, oh, here's what we do to get past the group stage. You know, he knows. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, there's only like 100 World Cup winners at any time who are alive, and we have one of them.
Yeah. There's got to be more than 100 though, right?
Well, I mean, if you think about it, it's a 4-year tournament, and people,
4-year
18
tournament.
players win it every year.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
guess
So,
probably not
people.
something like that.
Some people die. Diego Maradona's still around.
I mean, if you think about the World Cups 10 cycles ago, 40 years ago, so 180 players, then they're probably 60s, 70s. So probably closer to 200.
Yeah. That's a good bet.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Another topic very relevant to the national team that I got us into. Woo. Um,
Well, no,
so,
it's a good point because,
well, yeah. It's
Clinton knows what the team takes. So if he sees in Donovan, he says this is a guy that'll get us out of the group stage, as he's done, but he won't be the guy to ultimately win us the World Cup, then, you know, I'm all for it. I mean, it's one of those things where we really don't have room to complain because Klinsman has turned this team into an amazingly fun team to watch, way different from Bradley Bunkerball. And
mm-hmm,
I,
mm-hmm.
he knows what it takes. So I don't understand all the outrage.
Yeah. I mean, like I've been saying, it's all emotional and it's understandable, and it might just be. And I think this is what happened to me. I mean, when I first saw that Donovan wasn't going, there was like a pit in my stomach. It's like, holy shit, Landon Donovan's not going to the World Cup. It's not. It wasn't so much a, oh no, our soccer team's gonna suffer. It's a, oh, like the U.S. soccer, as I've known it for the last 14 years, is is over. That's over. That era, the Donovan era, is done. And we should have known this. We should have seen this a year ago when Donovan had a sabbatical and Klinsman wasn't sure how ready he was, didn't bring him into the qualifying teams early that year. But yeah, it's. I think it's more of an emotional thing than anything else. At least that's what it was for me. For soccer reasons, I can totally see it. You know,
Yeah,
so.
I guess, you know, I think this is good because it shows Klinsman is taking this extremely seriously, that he's not going to let a guy come into the national team on reputation and tradition, that Klinsman doesn't care about. I mean, I'm sure he does, but that he doesn't really care how long a player's been there, how much of a mainstay he's been. Klinsman's taking this seriously.
Yeah. And by the way, I think that kind of thinking is something we should embrace because it's the same kind of thinking you apply when you build really smart soccer teams, really smart baseball teams. You forgo the emotional attachment and say, well, who's going to help? Who's going to help me best, both long term and from a team building standpoint? I mean, I look back to, well, my favorite gridiron team did this recently when my Panthers released Steve Smith a couple months ago. Um, Baseball teams like the A's obviously do it all the time. Um, you know what else I'm reminded of? And maybe this is a little bit hyperbolic, but I'm reminded of the hockey team that Herb Brooks built in 1980.
Definitely, I can see that.
Because he built a team not based on talent necessarily, but who fits well together. And I think it'd be hard to argue, even today, that Donovan is less talented than Brad Davis. He's less talented than DeAndre Yedlin. He might actually be less talented than DeAndre Yedlin at Yedlin's prime, but not today. Um, but it's, you know, if he doesn't fit, then he doesn't fit. So, whatever.
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, uh, the main thing for me, what I always try to think about with this sort of thing is we are not the ones that have been taking care of this team in all regards for a few years now. We don't get to see all that goes on in the camps, locker rooms, et cetera, et cetera. Klinsmann is pretty much the only person that sees that. And so we're, yeah, like you said, going off of emotion, like, oh my gosh, this is going to be the first one since uh, 2002 that Donovan hasn't played in. Donovan did this and that. But yet again, it's about what are people doing. And just like you said, this may be a team that's just fits well together. And I definitely can see that with some of the choices that he made. It's a lot more about who's in the now, who's playing well now, instead of let's bring in veterans just because they're veterans. In the case of like Donovan.
Yeah, and if you look, there are all these, other national teams in the world that had to make the same tough choices. If you're
Mhm.
Brazil, you leave out Kaká. If you're France, you leave out Samir Nasri. If
Mhm.
you're England, you leave out Jermaine Defoe. All things that have, you know,
Argentina leaving out Tevez.
yeah, and I I mean, yeah, it stings, but it sports, you know, sports is a business as much as us fans like to get attached to it. And Klinsman comes to the national team with a very business-like mindset, and he sees who's performing and who's not, and he doesn't take the guys who aren't performing. And I think that's just what happened to Donovan. He couldn't perform. I'm not saying he couldn't perform, but he couldn't perform as admirably as some of the other players can.
Mm-hmm.
So I want
Yeah.
to quit talking about Donovan for a second and talk about the people who I am legitimately surprised made the roster, and that includes Brad Davis, Timmy Chandler, Wando, and DeAndre Yedlin. I think those are my four huge stocks.
Yeah, well, I'll just start off by saying it's hilarious because I was reading an article today where the person said, due to a camp insider, that they were hearing that Wondolowski had a 30% chance of making the 23-man roster over like Boyd and over Boyd basically. And then I see later today this gets announced. I'm like, wow, well I'll be. That's definitely not what the insider was really supposed to be hearing in that case. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of the theme with some of these picks is like, Klinsman knows more than us because I don't know what's going on. Like with Davis, for example, not expect to see him on here.
I think it's good you take Wando. Um, I was actually on Wondolowski's side in the EJ Wando debate.
What? You traitor!
I know, but we're not going to beat Portugal, Ghana, and Germany the same way we beat Honduras, Costa Rica, and Antigua and Barbuda.
But EJ beat Mexico. He did that. He scored the first goal against Mexico.
Yeah, but
I'm
the way EJ plays forward is I mean, and you saw this in the goal he scored for DC too. He gets big, he gets space, and he gets the ball. With Ghana, you've got their two bruising center backs. You're not going to beat them with physicality. You're going to have to beat them with intelligent runs. And Wondolowski makes incredibly, incredibly intelligent runs off the ball to get in position. Hi, Dan.
Hey.
So, now that you're here, I completely lost what you were just saying.
Wando has intelligent runs. EJ has physicality. You need intelligent runs, intelligent positioning to beat some of these better teams.
See, but
Yeah.
I'm such an EJ homer that I think he can beat out physically the Ghanaian central defenders and the German central defenders. I might be wrong about that, but that's what I like to believe.
See, that's you letting your emotions get in it again.
And I was also justified by Matt Doyle last week when he said he was surprised that EJ wasn't included, and he was bringing up his target play, his hold-up play, which before he scored that goal against Montreal, that was the biggest thing he brought to the table for DC, and Doyle's like, I don't know that Altidore, if he has to come off for some reason, I don't know that we have anybody else on the roster. I don't think Boyd can hold up like EJ can. And
I'm going to be really honest. I do not like Altidore. He is probably my least favorite player that's going to Brazil.
Why is that?
I understand his physicality, but I don't know. I can't stand watching him play. And maybe he's just one of those players that I'm the only one on earth who doesn't like watching him play. But
if you watched him play this last year at Sunderland, you've got a good reason to not like watching him play.
I don't know. I would have taken EJ instead of Altidore because.
Wait, what?
Unpopular opinion. Yeah. I would have taken Eddie over Altidore.
Well,
now you're just.
I think Josie has had a tough year, and I think if you're looking at form over that time, EJ still got that time in Seattle, regardless of DC so far this year. I think the difference is probably EJ's locker room mentality, and the habit of throwing teammates under the bus.
Yeah, when I watch those Inside U.S. Soccer, that Roger Bennett series, when I watch those and I see how close the U.S. team is, it's hard for me imagining EJ in that setting.
Yeah.
And that's not a realization that came to me until those were. I'm really happy about those things, by the way. I don't care that we're not going to see a whole lot of the tactical preparing, whatever. I am intensely interested by moments like when Tim Howard comes in and starts talking to Landon and Landon's like, hey, you want to do lunch at 1? He's like, and Tim Howard's like, yeah, let me go change first. Like, that intrigues me for some reason more than to soccer.
It's because they're all a big group of buddies.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's because we're seeing people we're seeing these players off the field, which we don't really see. We just see them for 90 minutes each week, basically. It was the same thing when MLS 36 came out with that Wondolowski episode. That was just like, it really brought him to earth to make me see this guy. He's like, hey, it doesn't wake up till like 15 minutes before he has to go to practice or whatever. And I'm just imagining seeing that for like in this series, and just it makes you think, wow, there's stuff behind just sheer talent and tactics and stuff like that for the team. There's the actual chemistry, because it's not even just on field of like, yeah, I can read how this player is going to act and things like that. It's just I get along with this person at halftime if we're down 2-0 or if we're up 2-0. And going back to EJ, I just felt like even when he was in Seattle, he was mainly only getting along with at the end of it Dempsey. Really, that was who he had. And the same thing with the national team. He always would go over to Dempsey and celebrate, stuff like that. It seemed like he didn't really have any other people with him in that regard.
Yeah, and I guess that's something I overlook a lot because, I don't know, there are so many times I've used soccer players as robots, and
Or just sports people in general.
Yeah.
team cohesion is just something that you know I never really think about personally. But now that you guys are bringing it up, it actually does. You know, I understand that, even though Altidore has frustrated me to watch play, and I personally like watching Eddie more. That those are great points. That he may not be the best guy for a locker room that needs to bind together.
So, completely off topic, but related to the Inside series, have any of you guys done the beep test?
No.
I I think they started that. I don't know when they started it, but it became like a high school standard thing when I was in high school. And I actually played soccer in high school, so that was fun. Except I failed miserably the first time. Because it's not only hard to run back and forth, it's also hard to like time it such
Yeah,
that you get there ahead of time. And so the first time I just fucked up the timing. So it is brutal though. It sucks
yeah.
ass.
I went to a talent identification camp down at Radford University my senior year of high school, and
Hmm.
they had us do the beep test. And as a goalkeeper who sucks at running, like I'm 6'6", I absolutely suck at running at all. I was like the first one out, sucking air over on the sideline. So bad.
Did they give you the frozen towel like they gave the national team players, or did you just have to suck it up?
No, I was pretty much lying on my stomach, puking into Radford Field.
That's sports.
Yeah, that was the moment I realized I really didn't want to play in college.
Aw.
I think there was a joke on Twitter today where somebody said, "Should we do an all journalist beep test?" And I think I proposed that we'll do it at the All-Star game before the media game. So
Oh God,
um,
Pablo is over there throwing up on the sideline.
yeah, right. It'll be great. And, Thomas and Franco will kill it, and I'll finish at like level 3, and that'll be good enough.
I mean,
Yeah, I was,
it's a big coup if one of you guys finishes ahead of the MLS journalist, like the ex-MLS journalist, right?
Maybe.
Someone's got to beat Taylor Twellman.
Oh God, if Taylor's there. When we were out for first kick in Portland last year, my wife went down to the gym. I think it was the day of the Portland New York game, and he was in the gym at like 6 in the morning just running, ran for an hour or something like that. That guy is nuts.
Anyway, back to the national team. Totally derailed again. Oh, we were talking about tinfoil Ted earlier, so you missed that fun bandwagon.
Well, we were talking about the shocks, right?
yeah,
And
the shock
Yedlin.
conclusions, yeah.
Yeah, I
Can
like
I just?
Yedlin's speed.
You like Yedlin, really?
No, I don't like Yedlin. I
Okay.
like Yedlin's speed. There's a huge difference there.
Yeah,
Um,
Yedlin's speed is good. Yedlin's defense isn't though.
I mean, Yedlin really. The only situation I could see him coming on is we're down by a goal. There's 10 minutes left, and whatever team we're playing has parked the bus, and we just got to have someone streaky who can.
Yeah. Someone who can spark that attack. Now, if what you were saying about Fabian Johnson starting out right back is true, then we're already going to have somebody sparking the attack from the back line,
That
which I
was,
think. What's that?
I think that was Zach who said that.
Okay.
Yeah, either way.
Yeah, whichever, whoever said it, don't matter. um, so if that's going to happen, then we already have somebody from the back line who gets to spark the attack, blah, 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 blah. Which is something that I think Klinsman likes, and I think he's adapted that from, I don't know, it's just something that he likes. I like it too, because when DC was good in 2012 with Andy Nahar, that's what we did. So it worked out. So, I don't really know what I'm saying. I'm just saying words.
No, I totally understand.
Hard's a good fallback. to talk about.
I just
What's
find this whole right back situation really funny because just for these past 2 years, like especially back when Badisher was still with the Quakes, I was really into him, like getting capped or whatever. And then he ended up getting injured before I think a Mexico friendly, and so he wasn't able to end up playing. And then just how this whole right back situation has gone like way out of control for U.S. Like people thinking, okay, now who are we going to use? Like, are we going to have to use Cameron there or whatever? And I'm like, it'd been nice if Klinsmann, instead of just going after German or Icelandic players, he went after this Iranian right back, um, because he definitely provides that same sort of thing with Yedlin, but he's just a bit older. So I don't know. I feel like with
Same as Nahar.
Klinsmann,
Nahar could have played for America too. He was brought up in DC's
oh yeah,
DC's
homegrown,
academy.
yeah.
He was a dual national, but he went to go play for Honduras, and now we might be regretting that because he probably would have made this roster. I feel like.
Yeah. I don't know.
Is that a Psy RP?
What? Why? Why did you have to do that?
Why did I have to do what? I didn't do anything.
You brought up Nahar, and now I'm just gonna have a case of the sads all night.
Hey,
It's okay. We replace him with Sean Franklin. Basically the same guy.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
punch
well,
you.
I don't know if anything can beat us dishing out Badisher, who's from San Jose, so like the closest we had to a homegrown player, for what exactly? And then our replacement for him, a German, well, an older German guy who ends up tearing his ACL like in his second or third game. I'm just like, really, this is what we get. Thank you, San Jose front office, for continuing to do what only you can do. But,
I don't know. You guys are not in the pantheon of incompetent MLS front offices. First of all, there's us, and then there's Chicago, and there's Philly, apparently.
yeah, I can see
Philly makes more good moves than bad moves. It's just
that. Or
that,
easily do. That's a pretty
Yeah.
good move.
yeah, they killed us in that trade, and they killed Chivas in a trade, and they killed Chicago in a trade, and then Montreal was like, oh, we want Jack Mac, and then
Well, you know the Richmond Kickers front office. I've heard they're a pretty good bunch. But okay.
I mean, they got that one guy doing the
Oh,
social.
that an intern with the annoying cockiness and just yeah, he's awful. Hate that guy.
Yes.
So Tim Chandler.
So when we talked to Matt last week, he said that Chandler wilts in anything above 45-degree weather, which concerns me because I'm pretty sure the entire World Cup is going to be played above 45 degrees, unless I'm wrong about that.
I don't know. Brazil? Wait. Is Brazil in the winter before in the summer?
Brazil is in its winter, but that doesn't matter. It was still really hot at the Confed Cup last year.
Yeah.
Oh, true.
Which kind of surprised me.
So yeah, I'm not sure. I think Tim Chandler's one of those guys that, the stuff we can't see, the team cohesion. Maybe he just plays really well off of people that are in the lineup. I don't understand it. I don't think I'll ever understand it. I don't like Tim Chandler, but whatever.
Yeah.
Like as a person, you don't like him?
No, as a player,
Okay.
obviously.
Well, I just find it ironic. Somebody else pointed out in the comments. I'm going to be stealing this from them. But basically, they're saying with the whole factor, like people are saying, this is like Klinsmann going after Donovan with him not being included because of the whole taking all these games off just to think about myself and my situation and go to Thailand and everything. Yeah, Brooks, who basically, as far as I know, like didn't really even want to be involved with the national team, had attitude issues, and only like a few weeks ago, I think he wasn't playing for his team because he got a massive back tattoo, and so he had to sit out because it was still healing. So I just found that interesting. Yeah, so maybe something has really changed with him, but I wasn't all good vibes from reading about him and watching him at times.
Yeah, and nor really should you have been. I mean, he was called up for qualifiers and didn't go. Not because he was hurt, but because he didn't want to.
Yeah.
And we're all saying that Landon Donovan's being left off the roster because he might have been left off of the roster because he wasn't there for the really hard part of qualifying. Well, Chandler was there for 0 of qualifying. And none of the Gold Cup.
Turned down part of qualifying.
Yeah. So, but I'm told he had a good Bundesliga year by people who follow German football.
All 2 of them.
I mean, it'd be more interesting to follow if Bayern didn't win by 70 points this year.
Yeah, that would help.
At least the Liga was interesting.
I know. I was really surprised. I'm like, wow, the tables have turned there.
Isn't it because Atletico has like 4 players from on loan from like Man City and Chelsea and all those guys?
Yeah, there's that too. Basically, people are saying like that their roster was worth less than I think Torres' contract or something like that. But then the top commentator was like, well, you realize they didn't purchase all these players. A lot of them are on loan. So yeah,
Right.
that definitely factored into it. Like Courtois and I forget who else is on loan. I have to check. But yeah, I mean, I'm happy with that as long as it makes there be 3 teams instead of just 2 in La Liga.
So here's a sidebar for a second. How do you all feel about Jurgen Klinsmann's son being a giant dick on Twitter?
I think
Oh, man.
he's 13, which makes him younger than my 14-year-old young brother who says that's racist every 5th sentence. So
He's 13?
I thought he was like 18 or something like
Yeah,
that.
he's
Yeah.
committed to
I
Cal
was
next
I was
year.
told he would be 17 for the 2018 World Cup. So I'm subtracting 4 from that.
Oh, no, because he's committed to Cal. I think he's like 18.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Yeah,
which
he committed up back in February.
Yeah.
All right. Well, in that case, I have no excuse for him then.
Yeah.
I'm sad I'm not in camp, so that at the press conference tomorrow I can ask Jurgen how long his son has been grounded for and how many chores he's going to have to do to get his allowance back.
well, his Twitter's taken away, apparently.
Well, I don't know if that was him deleting it or Jurgen throwing his computer out the window.
Maybe
He
a
puts
combo
that-
of both.
And then the door just blasts open, and there's Jurgen with the belt.
Watch, he'll end up on our MLS before we know it.
Come here, you piece of shit.
Well, yeah, I think the joke saying that he's going to get cut from the family reunion because of chemistry issues, but that he'll end up on the roster for the July 4th barbecue if his country stuff works out.
Well,
Yeah,
Zach,
but-
can't you go over to camp? It's like right down the road from you, isn't it?
I wish I could, but I have school. I would be ditching
fuck
the
school.
finals. Yeah.
Zach, where the hell do you go to school that you still have finals?
I go to a community college right now. I'm going to transfer hopefully soon, but yeah, it's stupid schedule.
Yeah, shit. I got done 3 weeks ago.
I know, that's why I'm saying. Like, all my friends are like, oh, yeah, I'm coming back this weekend. I'm like, if only. And it's like with the friendly, even next week, I'm like, okay. So I don't have anything going on. As far as I know, I'm going to have to drive after school or whatever to get up there. But yeah, regardless, if I was able to, I'd definitely like buy some Stanford gear and just try to sneak in. And yeah, I don't know. It's definitely cool that it's up there. It's just I can't go there. And as it's been said, only once every 7 years or once a generation, one of those, the U.S. national team comes to Northern California. So hopefully it'll happen more with the
new
new
stadium.
Claire Stadium. Yeah, that'll be good. Although price-wise, I don't know how great it'll be.
So, yeah, Dan has a wife, a job, and we're just dicking around in college.
What's up? No. I also have a fake career as a sports journalist, so that counts for something, right?
Hey, fake careers are the best careers.
I think I've referred to it on more than one occasion as my hobby that's a job, so it's my jobby.
Yeah, how do you think I feel? I'm having to pay my college $10,000 to do this fucking internship.
Well, you know, you could drop out and not pay them.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not. I got 2 years done.
Or you could just take out loans and then not pay back those loans, and then
I could go all Unabomber and live in a house in the hills that I can.
Careful. They're, NSA, we're on the line. Come on.
yeah.
Oh, great, thanks. Now I'm going to be on that blacklist.
You're welcome, everybody.
Goodness gracious.
Yes, I have realized over time that compared to the majority of the subreddit population, I'm tending a little older, but I'll live with it.
Old man Dan over there.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, actually, I think most of at least 3/5 of the people on our little podcast thingy are above 30.
Well, I look forward to coming on then.
Yeah, because they all are. I don't know. Josh has this cool robots job where he does stuff with robots. I don't know what it is, but yeah, it's exciting.
I have the responses from the demographic survey. I haven't put them up yet because I've just gotten busy. But
Oh shit! I didn't even do that.
it's too late now.
Oh, how dare you!
Oh shit, Dan.
36% of the respondents are between 17 and 22, and 39% are between 23 and 28. So
Seems fair.
yeah, that's very Reddit, and we have 3% between 12 and 16.
Say what?
Oh yeah, and only 2% over the age of 42.
And like 3% female across the board.
It was 5%.
Oh wow!
Moving up.
There goes my plans of meeting my future wife on our MLS.
There you go.
Hey, I do well in situations where boys outnumber girls by a lot.
Jesus, this new guy just joined and you opened with that?
That's how I got a lady friend as a physics major at UNCG. She was the only one, and she wasn't very pretty either, but whatever.
It's gone downhill fast.
Yeah,
Okay.
to get back onto the topic of the
national team? Oh yeah.
Yeah, we're kind of talking about that occasionally. But how about the fact that, as far as I know, Chris Wondolowski, he's the first Native American to play for, to be on a World Cup roster. I found that pretty interesting. Yeah. Well, he's half Native American by blood, and he's a full Kiowa tribe member.
What's his Indian name that someone gave him?
It's I don't know how it's pronounced. I'll say the English translation, which is almost prophetic. It's warrior coming from over the hill.
Bao Dai?
Yeah, Bao Dai, warrior coming over the hill. And some people say it's just like his career. He started out late, but boy, did something great happen.
Okay, I was about to mute him.
That was supremely frustrating.
Should I just repeat all what I said, or?
It don't matter.
Yeah.
There's this cool feature on the thing that I use to put together audio stuff where I can tune out random bullshit noise like that.
Oh, that's weird.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I just found it interesting that it took this long for that sort of thing to happen. And I was saying in some comments, like, I don't know what's more American than that, a Native American playing on the team. But then someone replied, well, apparently German American is more American than Native American looking at the squad. So, I don't
Well,
know.
I mean, there are more German Americans than there are Native Americans, like in the
Yeah,
country.
yeah, I mean, that definitely makes sense.
So good for Wando, good for Native Americans. I still don't I still don't know why Wando's here.
Really.
I don't know what it's the same thing I told you 3 weeks ago. I don't know what Wando brings to the table that other people don't.
Intelligent runs.
I know. Okay,
Off the
that's
ball
true.
move. The mental part of the game. He may
I
not be
mean,
the best physical striker, but like he is like a attacking savant sometimes. I'm just like,
That's
how the
true.
hell did you get over there and why do you have the ball? And oh my god, you just scored again.
well, I
Yeah.
mean, I could definitely post links to goals like that. I did during that giant spread for the men's national team. But there was one I remember it was back in 2012 where
Mhm.
Jada Merritt was basically climbing on his back, and he still managed to score off of that, like to just have the perfect positioning. And I mean, this is one guy who was just in a world, or not just in, but he was a World Cup defender, and that's where. When you say he's not necessarily physical, he's not going to shove someone out of the way, but at the same time, it's not as if he can't deal with physical defenders. And then as far as like intelligent runs go, I definitely go back to that Mexico game because he basically just
Yeah.
he just faked out two defenders because the one like looked over, he saw Wando was there, so he assumed that he was going to stay there, and then Wando just slowly drifted over to the next one who thought, okay, I'm going to run with him, and then neither of them ended up catching him in the end. So I don't know. I think that his runs can translate to the international stage. I'm not thinking he's going to be starting anytime soon, but I think if you want anyone in the last 10 minutes plus, you can definitely throw him in there. I mean, if you look at the earthquakes or whatever, if with the quality of players they have, which they didn't have that well of, just everything clicked that 2012 season, I think. Um, I don't know. He definitely brings not only his skills, but also I think his off the field stuff, which Klinsman is very high on, was probably a reason too that he's in there. If we'll go back to that, because Klinsman, he said going into this camp, Wando is going to be one of the main drivers and one of the main people basically motivating. And I think that probably is a factor in it too, because um, even if he doesn't see a minute of playing time, he's still going to be just as passionate and just as um, stoked to be there. And I think that's very important.
Yeah. That's fair. Um, and but is he a lesser version? And I guess there is one thing that you brought up, which I don't have a response to, and that's his game against Mexico, where I feel like his connection with Michael Bradley was something we didn't anticipate, and I don't know that Aaron Johansson would have that. But other than that, I see, yeah, those intelligent runs that not like the overt physicality, um, but the ability to just like slink off defenders, probably like you said with Jada Merritt. Um, um, I just don't know that Johansson does those things too. And he also brings that added element that Mixed Discord also has, where he can just do something that American players just don't often do, or that's moment of holy shit, you can do that in soccer, like
Yeah.
that little flick over that Discaroo did before he passed it to Donovan for the awesome goal. So
Oh, speaking of Discaroo,
yeah,
I'm a little surprised that he made this World Cup. I feel like he would have been a lock for the next one, but I feel like he was still kind of a fringe national team player.
I always wanted him there. personally. I saw on the guy who does Tempo Free Soccer didn't want him there, but I did.
Yeah, he was the guy that I would have swapped. I would have swapped for Donovan if I really did want Donovan there.
Not Brad Davis?
Not Brad Davis. I think, like I said, how Yedlin is good for, a specific scenario. I think Brad Davis is the same because when the ball gets to his foot, it is stuck to his foot. He doesn't make stupid passes. Um, I mean that's really the what you giving me that look.
No, no, no. I've just opened up Twitter.
Oh,
That's not a good decision.
Well,
and
no, I just saw you and Dan talking on Twitter.
yeah, that was a fun time. But I don't know. I think Davis is when we put in Edlin, we're putting him in when we're down 1-0 and we need a goal.
Yeah.
I think we put Davis in the opposite scenario when we're up 1-0 and we need to play keep away.
Yeah, that's fair, I guess. So you're saying Discrude, so then he and Discrude then aren't. So you're saying Discrude and Donovan are similar players in that you put them in, they're not going to start, but they're offensive sparks. They're guys who you put in when you're down, who you, I don't know, who you think can do stuff. And since Donovan has the pedigree, you want him there above Discrude? Is that the reasoning?
Yes, my thought is, you give Donovan the nod in that case because of his, seniority and thought. But in my mind, they fulfill very similar scenarios for the team. That's my thinking anyway.
I think they fill similar scenarios, but I still think there are a lot of things Discrude does that Donovan doesn't do, that can't do, and that no one really can do. And when we saw Discrude and Holden play with each other for those 10 minutes in the Panama final before Holden tore his ACL for the 17th time, it was great. It was like having two creative midfielders right next to each other was something that's rarely ever happens in U.S. soccer, and it was really pretty to see. And now that we can only bring Discrude there, might as well bring him, right?
Yeah.
So
Also, I am really, really happy to see Beckerman.
oh yeah,
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, fantastic player. He's going to play with Bradley really well as he has been. And for a guy who's worked his ass off his entire career, I think it's great for him that he earned his spot to go to Brazil, and that
Definitely.
no one is complaining about it because everyone agrees it's a great choice. Everyone's happy for Beckerman.
yeah. And I think everyone's happy for Becker. Or there are a lot of good reasons to be happy for Beckerman, but I think there wasn't ever a doubt that Beckerman would go, just simply based on that Mexico game, where he and Bradley combined to do another thing that we haven't seen U.S. soccer do in a long time. And it was awesome. And you're like, oh, if we're down, we'll use that and unleash Bradley on everybody, and it'll be great.
Yeah, that diamond midfield definitely is going to be something I think we'll see again. That was something that was great about that game. I mean, before just the team decided to implode basically. But just seeing that freedom that Bradley had definitely was almost a relief, seeing that he had the freedom to not just patrol his area, but to go up there and basically have those two goals happen that we ended up scoring.
Honestly, if I'm Toronto and I'm throwing around massive amounts of money, I think I'm getting on the phone with Salt Lake after this World Cup and saying, hey, Beckerman is getting older. You're paying him a ton of money. We'll take him off your hands. We'll buy out his contract. And you know what? Salt Lake might go for it. I don't know if Beckerman would, but
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised with Toronto FC slowly but surely buying out the U.S. national team to make a Team USA kind of like they had back in the NASL. But yeah, that would be in line with what RSL did with losing Jason Christ. But Beckerman definitely could up his stock in MLS with a good World Cup showing. Just going to the World Cup in itself is great.
do you guys think Beckerman has like a 2-year run in Europe left if he wants to?
I think he has it in him, but I don't see why he would do that.
Me neither, but it's a question to ponder.
Well, I'm gonna ponder it and dismiss it because I think it'd be silly. Going to Pish. What does that mean?
I think he means piss, but he misspelled.
Oh, gotcha.
Good job, Heck.
Good problem solving.
Oh, so, that really, I mean, that's the national team. Kudos to Beasley for stepping up and making a resurgence. I think he's a guy that's going to do us really well in Brazil.
Yeah. Let's see. Who else was I mad about? We talked about Timmy Chandler. We talked about Yedlin. We talked about Davis. We talked about Wando. That's about it. Everyone else.
Julian Green.
Oh, yeah! How have we not
How
talked
did
about
we
that guy
not
yet?
touch Julian Green?
Because he's the guy that's supposedly going in. He's another candidate who maybe bumped Donovan off.
Yeah. Here's my thought on that situation. He's not cap tied because he didn't play in a FIFA sanctioned tournament.
He is cap tied though.
How so?
He filed that one-time switch thing.
I thought he didn't have to because he was a dual national.
He had to because he played for German youth teams.
Ah, gotcha. Never mind. Not mad
So-
at him. Wait, no, now I am mad because my thought was you bring him to Brazil to cap tie him, and now I'm wrong.
Yeah.
So what the hell?
So I don't know. Maybe he's good. I mean, he's the unknown. We don't know him. We
That
saw him.
That Mexico friendly where we were able to see him play, I think he had some great footwork and speed, and I definitely saw potential, but I don't know. I can't shake the feeling that it might be too early.
Donovan was 19 in 2002.
Yeah, how old is Brooks? 17? 18?
Brooks is like,
Or no, not Brooks.
but that's another guy we should talk about because I don't. Yeah. Green is 18.
Okay.
5 years younger than me.
2 years younger than me.
One of those guys I look at and go, man, what am I doing with my life?
I hate that feeling.
Yeah.
Fucking Kickers have a 16-year-old goalkeeper playing third string, and I'm just like, really? Oh my god.
Yeah, but the only thing I feel about with Green's age and comparing that to Donovan at the 2002 World Cup, he had a year with the Quakes under his belt already. That included like a championship playoff run, like all that sort of stuff. Whereas right now, Green's playing in the 4th division, right? I think it's 4th division. And I mean, you can argue what the skill levels are compared, but just I think being in the situation of basically having to be a leader in some ways, at least stepping up the score and high pressure situations where you're going to face elimination if you don't win. I think that's a little different because I think Beasley, he was also that young back in 2002, and he had a couple years with the Fire already before he went to that World Cup. So I think it's slightly different. Also, that leads me to say that I think for Julian Green to succeed, he has to get loaned out to San Jose so he can become the next Donovan. But I don't know.
Oh, you want? There's no like ulterior selfish motive for that for you though. Julian Green coming to San Jose, right?
No, it's the greater good, you know? I mean,
Yeah.
because you have young player loaned out to San Jose Earthquakes from large German team back in 2001. That was Landon Donovan. I mean, we kind of won 2 championships because of that, but you know, if we have to, we have to. You know, greater good.
RP, how did you even come across this article?
It got retweeted onto my timeline by Kyle Sheldon.
Okay, I vaguely recognize the name of Kyle Sheldon. Nick Green. I vaguely recognize this name too. I feel like I've been mad at him before.
This is an incredibly... This article, what the hell?
Okay, so basically, to people who can't read our minds, we are looking at an article from Nick Green saying, opinion, Landon Donovan's absence from the U.S. World Cup squad, not made for sporting reasons. You don't even have to read much of the article, really just 2 sentences. It's the first two sentences go, Landon Donovan studying exclusion from the U.S. World Cup squad has nothing to do with soccer. It's about power and control. And like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it reads like...
I mean, no, but
it just reads like Klinsman went off 50 Shades of Grey on Donovan and like asserted his dominance.
is that what happens in that book?
I think.
I thought that was a sex book.
Isn't it a book about a national team manager cutting his star player?
I know Casey Keller's in it.
God. Oh, God. No, but obviously this article, it's inside SoCal.com. I mean, it's obviously a guy who is salty that his hometown guy isn't in the World Cup. And I think that's the only explanation for it.
Yeah, that seems to be the case because, yeah, this guy is more salty than the ocean right now, it looks like.
That's a great phrase. I'm stealing that from my next article, by the way.
Wow.
Feel free.
Someone tweeted, going to be amusing in 12 years when Donovan's coaching the national team and snubs Klinsman's son.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
if Klinsman's son is playing for the Nats, I don't know what to think.
I don't get how people that follow this sport like 1 month a year are fucking outraged and burning the internet to the ground.
Oh yeah, that's another thing, and I'm glad you brought that up because I see a whole bunch of, because yeah, this is the time of year where a whole bunch of regular sports journalists who like are normally cover football or basketball or other sports, obviously, are like, what? They didn't bring in Donovan. They didn't. Why would they even bring Donovan into camp if they were just gonna cut him? I saw that argument today. I was like,
Because
okay.
they do it for 6 other guys?
No, you realize there was 24 guys in the camp, and they were only going to cut one. And everyone else is disappointed they didn't make this into a reality TV show where it took several weeks to cut off like each and every person. Klinsman had a rose, and like, you're going to stay here. Although he hates the color red, apparently, so he wouldn't have a rose.
I mean, it's been incredibly frustrating today and this is part of why I was talking about the Sunil Gulati, outside pressure, because Donovan is about as well known a player as you could get in America.
Yeah.
Aside from Ronaldo and Messi, and that's
probably it. It probably goes Ronaldo, Messi, Donovan in terms of who American soccer players, American soccer.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
the American sports media is representative of the American public, I feel like,
Mm-hmm.
at least in soccer. And, this is an easy tagline. It's
Yeah.
going to take absolutely no effort for any sports writer to wake up tomorrow and have opinion. Donovan snub is bad. But, but it would, we're going to see a million articles in the next week about how this is the end of American soccer and yada yada yada.
And half a million of those are going to be posted to our MLS. It's going to be really annoying.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Get hyped, everybody.
get on that mod.
Is there a way that like you aren't allowed to write about soccer unless you know? Can we have like a literacy test for soccer before you have to write about it?
So it's funny you mentioned that. Or no, it's not that funny you mentioned it. We totally should. It's like when who was it that posted that thread yesterday about coaches that need to have soccer literacy, or just like how there needs to exist more soccer coaches that know soccer. You know?
Hold on, scrolling through. I'm sure we'll call them out. It wasn't me. It wasn't Zach. It wasn't you.
Yeah. No.
Was that like the annual call for coach sort of thing?
Yes, that was it.
All right, see where that is.
Can someone shoot me the link real quick?
Remembering the name. Let me see.
It's the Seattle mod. I think it's Crolla.
Voila.
Crolla.
All right.
I took Dan's suggestion and I opened up the chat room, and no one posted here. There was like a period of 7 minutes when people posted in here, but now that period is over.
Oh yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Dan's an idiot. Okay. Yeah. I mean, he's right. Those of us who have been around, try to understand soccer, we should be the ones who try to coach, influence kids.
Yeah, I love to coach, or I would love to coach if someone would give me a chance. I guess all it takes is a call to the rec leagues around.
Just stand outside of the AYSO headquarters and start screaming at whoever leaves. Hire me, damn it!
Or we could just do what Jeff did, and that'll work too.
Oh, make a cool video?
Yeah.
Yeah, as someone who wants to work for MLS someday, lucky bastard.
Well, it was also a really good video.
Yeah, true.
So you have to make a good video. I can't make a good video. I can barely make a good podcast.
Yeah, no, well, you can't, but we've been rambling about other shit for like 60 minutes.
See, what people don't understand is that I edit out so many things in /MLS. It's really just mostly boring until I get in there and edit 90% of it. That's not true, but
You're gonna edit out the part where I took my shirt off.
no, I'm gonna keep that in.
Well, that's fine.
I always keep in the embarrassing stuff. Unless I do something embarrassing, then I edit that out, of course.
I'm gonna show that to my kids someday.
You could like show them the new version, or I guess the updated version
Of?
of, I don't know. I'm super exhausted at this point. No, okay. So on that journalist's point. point, there's this guy, this local guy in North Carolina. His name is Adam Gold. And when DC played Galaxy, or not DC, when the Railhawks played Galaxy in an Open Cup in 2012, they were giving out free tickets, and the trivia question was, and they gave out free tickets to the first person who could answer, who's won the last 3 U.S. Open Cups? And I called in, said Seattle, got the tickets, because no one else knew, because no one else in North Carolina cares. Anyway, so I go to the game and sit next to the guy, and I didn't even know I was sitting next to him. And he was talking something about, I don't know, the national team. He was talking about Bruce Arena, because Bruce Arena was there and how he had coached the '94 team. And I heard that, and I was like, oh no, it wasn't him, it was Bora Milutinovic. And then so I listened to the show next day, and he's like, first he opens the show with, so apparently you need like a PhD in soccer to go to soccer games. So they talk about Bruce. He basically was talking about how I called him out, and it was funny. It was all in good fun. But then, so like a couple months ago, he probably is a little bit tipsy and gets into a Twitter argument with me about how soccer's the sport of the future. He's like, it's been the sport of the future for 70 years. I'm like, yeah, but this time we actually have a pro league. And basically the moral of the story, or the point of the story, is that he's one of the guys saying, why bring Donovan to camp if you're just going to cut him? And why cut Donovan on Twitter? And I'm like, cuz.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I linked him to the picture of Donovan being fat. That's what I did. Fat
Yeah.
Donovan.
It's just going to be, it's definitely going to be interesting seeing what people that don't care about soccer have to feel or have to say about soccer, because many times they just, I don't know. I mean, what I've started to notice is on ESPN with their like top 10 plays or whatever, they're actually including soccer goals. And it was funny because it was like immediately after that deal where ESPN was going to be getting MLS games. I was thinking they're doing this on purpose, I feel like, or I'm just a conspiracy nut, but I doubt that at least half the time. But you could just see those announcers, they were like trying to hype up soccer as much as they could, but they just didn't know how. It was like unnatural to them. So it'll definitely be interesting to see all these different sports reporters that realize for the first time in 4 years again that soccer is the most popular sport on earth, and see what they do.
Are you mocking me, RP? Is that what you're doing? Me playing with my face? Yeah, no, you're right. I'm excited about ESPN hyping up MLS.
Definitely.
That'll be
I
fun.
mean, MLS is one of their products now. You know, in ESPN's world, if you're not one of their products, you don't exist.
Hockey.
Yeah, hockey.
And you have to. I guess hockey found their niche without ESPN, and good for them. But it's really hard not to. It's really hard to find your niche without ESPN in today's world, because they more than anybody else control the narrative in sports in this country.
You know, I actually think losing MLS is going to be a huge blow to NBC Sports.
Yeah.
Because what does NBC Sports have now? They have horse
The Premier
racing
League.
and hockey.
The Premier League.
Yeah.
Beside those two, though, they have
Formula One. They have Formula One. That's not insignificant.
True. I forgot they had Formula One. But still.
Hockey, Premier League, and Formula One, that's a pretty badass trio, honestly.
Yeah, but I mean, that kind of, at least Formula One, it's a bit niche. At least over here. I don't know that many people that watch it, but when I'm looking at the channel and what they have like every day, for the past few days, it's been mostly, I think, like fishing and biking.
Yeah.
So
That's what it's eventually going to turn into,
Yeah.
I think.
Fishing and hockey.
Fishing and hockey and
Just
biking.
combine both those. Ice fishing, hockey. You got it.
It's not half bad. I think Fox Sports 1 being part of the deal with ESPN, because Fox Sports 1 has like nothing right now.
Yeah.
And
They have
and
Champions League, and that's it.
yeah,
Champions League is very intermittent.
yeah. I think MLS is gonna, the one game a week they get or whatever is actually gonna help them as well.
Mhm.
Do you
I-
think it helps them more than it helps us?
For the both, I think.
I don't think the Fox Sports portion of the TV deal helps us. I think
I don't think it. I don't either.
I think the ESPN portion helps us, and the Fox portion helps Fox.
You know, Gulati said the other day that he thinks EPL, their presence in America, hurts MLS and hurts American soccer. That
Yeah.
surprised me a little bit, slash a lot. That surprised me a lot.
I can see where he's coming from.
I
We all know Euro snobs.
Yeah, but we also all know Euro snobs who are converted Euro snobs who are like, oh, this MLS thing is actually pretty cool.
Yeah, I think Sunil Gulati's more pointing towards the casual fan
Mhm.
as opposed to people who actually care about soccer a lot.
Well, it's only hurting us now in the fact that we aren't on the same channel as Premier League anymore. Honestly, if it's going to hurt us, that's the only thing. But I mean, ESPN is ESPN, so if they do their marketing right, I don't see it the Premier League hurting us in that regard, or hurting MLS. Because, like you said, I mean, we all know people that we've converted to be soccer fans. Like one of my friends, I had him over. He's actually from Hong Kong, and he's only watched Premier League soccer pretty much for all of his time. But I kept on hounding him about talking about the earthquakes and stuff like that. And now with Defoe coming in and Henri, of course, because he's an Arsenal fan, so he's been paying attention ever since Henri came over. Yeah, well,
I'm sorry, there's so many goddamn Arsenal fans here.
Yeah,
I'm a Tottenham fan, so how do you think I feel?
Celtic.
Yeah,
I sort of barely follow Bolton. If I had to pick a team, it'd be Bolton.
they're like in League 1 or Championship now, I think.
They're in Championship. I had a good reason for picking them. I picked them first because Jussi Eskalainen was their goalie, and I'm Finnish, sort of. So I was all about the Finns. And then he was there when Stu Holden went over to Bolton, so that duo. And I've got like a friend of a friend, or my friend went to high school with Stu Holden, so I was like, oh, I like him, and he seemed like a likable guy, so
Good on the podcast.
we should, because he rehabbing, forever rehabbing. Stu Holden, someone should write a book about Stu Holden.
He should.
Be tragic.
He'll come back for the next World Cup.
Be more depressing than the fifth Harry Potter book.
Yeah, slightly. But anyway, I definitely feel that going back to with my friend, he ended up sitting with me and watching the Quake Seattle game, even though that was horrendous. Still was wanting to go to actually see soccer games and everything. So I feel like EPL in itself is not really anything that harms casual fans. It's just if MLS fans aren't reaching out to other fans, it's going to hurt. But besides that, it's not as if you can't watch both leagues.
Yeah, it's not like they're competing for airtime or anything.
Yeah, or even for fans necessarily, because there's a whole ocean that's kind of separating the two main fan bases.
All right. So I'm calling time on
Yeah.
my time here tonight.
All right.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm getting tired, like really tired. Like
Yeah, I
I'm.
think we had good amount of material, so
We ran out of good stuff to say like a half hour ago. We just started rambling. Let's be honest.
That's true.
yeah.
I'll put this together at some point. I might put it up tomorrow. I probably won't though, because I still have to finish your thing.
Why? Why even? I mean, did we really say enough to be put up somewhere?
I'll think about it. I'll go. I'll go over it. Because usually what happens is I feel not so great about podcasts like the Slash MLS thing, like immediately after, and then I listen back to it and I'm like, oh, that wasn't bad. So I'll listen back over it. If I still hate it, or if I still feel mad about it, then I'll just whatever.
I can't even remember what I said last night. I was drunk from the Houston game.
That was a great game. I loved it.
I think I was rambling at some points last night.
It's possible. But yeah, I gotta go. So I'm just gonna
All
press
right.
this button right here. And I'll let you guys know what I decide to do with
I'm
the
leaving
thing.
before you.
All right. See you,
All
Zach.
right. See you guys.
End broadcast.